Hi. Okay, I'm going to show you how to start printing with your linoleum plate. The first thing you need to do is consider what paper size you need to print onto and how to create the registration so that your print always ends up in the center of your papers. So first of all, you have to measure your linoleum plate. This is 8¼ by 6 inches. Okay, I am going to write this on the back of my plate, as I'm going to need to know this information here in a minute. I'm going to take a piece of newsprint paper. This is going to act as your registration paper. It always goes underneath of your print plate, and I will show you visually how this helps and how this works. But basically, we want our plate to sit in the center of this paper. Well, right now we have two different size margins. We have probably 4 or 5 inches here and a few inches here and here. We don't need that much. We need at least 2 inches on all sides. It's very similar to like mat cutting measurements and how you calculate that. So if I need 2 inches on all sides, I'm going to add 4 inches to each one of my measurements. Okay, 6 plus 4 is 10. 8¼ plus 4 is 12¼ So my papers for printing on are going to be 12¼ inches by 10 inches. Each one of you has a different size paper because you have your own unique size plate, as that was part of your compositional choice. So I'm going to cut this newsprint paper down to 12¼ by 10. That way my registration paper is the same size as my printing paper. Now, to make this easy, I'm going to bring the cutting board to me. There are 3 cutting boards in my room, so whichever one is closest to you would probably be your best bet. So I can do this 2 ways. First of all, there's a ruler up here on the cutting board. I can simply slide my paper through, find one of my measurements, 10, and line up the left side of my paper there. So now I know that the space between my cut and my blade is going to be 10 inches. But I also have to make sure that I have 12¼ here, and I don't. So I want to make sure I cut my 12¼ first. This is my 12-inch line, and my very outer edge is about 12¼ The other thing I could do too, before I cut, I like to really double check these things, which I always say measure 5 times, cut once. You can always measure from the side of your paper 12¼ inches and draw a line. That way you are for sure getting the right size paper that you need. But sometimes this kind of makes more work than is absolutely necessary. You won't want to do this you will not want to do that for every single piece of paper that you cut for this project. You're going to be cutting a lot of them. So line that up with where I think 12¼ would be here, or line up the blade with my pencil line. Hold it firmly down with my left hand, making sure the paper's flush up against the edge of the cutting board. Cut. My scraps will go in the trash can. I'm going to rotate my paper, and now I'm going to cut at the 10. Notice I didn't draw a line for this one because there's my 10. I found my 10 inches. I know it's the end of this page is 10 inches from the blade. Cut. There is my 10 by 12¼ Then I'm going to place my plate directly in the center, and this you may have to do a little bit of nudging and measuring. Take your ruler and try to get 2 inches here, 2 inches here. Good, 2 inches there, 2 inches there. It's centered. Okay, so now take a marker or a pencil or something dark, trace all 4 sides of your plate, remove it, and then extend these lines just a little bit past where you have them. so that you'll be able to see the corners before you place your print. So the idea of this being your registration paper, your registration template basically. After you have your registration template done, you do want to go and cut multiple pieces of the paper you want to print with before you get out any inks to print. So you want to cut everything to 12 1/4 by 10, whatever that final measurement was for your template paper. You want to cut every single paper that you're going to print on the same size. Then, when you are ready, you've got your paper ready, you're going to select your inks. You're all starting with black ink, and you're all going to create a proof first. And the proof is going to be on newsprint paper. So you do have another piece of newsprint cut, and you have white paper cut and color papers cut.